Hello everybody, this is Courtney with Fiber Fox Studios, and today I am going to show you how to make this really pretty stitch. We're actually making a cardigan out of this particular stitch. So we're going to be jumping right on into getting this tutorial done, but just to give you kind of a little heads up, all of the information that you're going to need to start your size is going to be down below in the description. And for those of you who are wondering what type and size of yarn I have used, I am using the Loops Threads Woolike yarn. This is one of my favorites. As you can see here, this one ball has 678 yards in it. It's 3.5 ounces, 620 meters, 100 grams, and I've been using it in a black, but deal is with this stuff, it is size 1. Super fine. And I know a lot of you are not going to want to use that small of a yarn, which is not a problem. I'm going to give you some information down below in the description on how you can go about changing the yarn size, altering for different yarn sizes, what you'll need to do. So we're going to get started real quick. And you will be doing multiples of 2 foundation ovals plus 1 at the end. So we want to end up with an odd number of foundation ovals to start your project. And you do want to, like I said, refer down to that description to get the exact number of ovals I'm suggesting for your size. But I'm giving that oval count, the multiples and all, just in case someone wants to go off of what I'm saying and customize the piece better to fit your body. It is a short sleeve cardigan, similar to my kimono cardigan that's already out on my channel. For the tutorial, I am not going to torture you guys with trying to teach you the stitch in black. I'm going to be coming back and using this piece later, but we're going to actually work in this blue yarn with a larger hook so that you guys can see what I'm doing. So go ahead and grab your yarn, refer down to that description, and we're going to get started by starting out with the foundation ovals. I'm going to go ahead and move this piece out of the way. And I am going to be using some paint box yarns for the tutorial. And I'm going to get started by doing a slip knot. So you just want to have your tail over here in between your thumb and index. And I have my working yarn pinched in between my thumb and index finger over here on my left hand. And then I move that over in between these 2 fingers here on my left hand. And then I pinch those fingers together and I pull back as I pull on this tail. And that creates my slip knot. So we're going to get started with our foundation ovals. So yet again, another piece worked in foundation ovals. So some of you may be getting very familiar with these by now. But we're going to go ahead and start by chaining up 4. So you're just going to grab your yarn and pull it through the loop that's on your hook. So that's 2 chains for me. Here's 3. And here's 4. Now we're going to wrap our yarn around our hook twice. And we're going to go back down into this very first chain and insert. And we're going to grab our yarn and pull up a loop. We're going to grab our yarn again and pull through 2. We're going to grab our yarn again and pull through 2. And we're going to grab our yarn again and pull through 2. Now we're going to chain up 4 again. So we're going to grab and pull. Now I want you to go ahead and pinch that chain if you are not familiar with doing foundation ovals. That way you know where your first chain is. So you're just going to chain up 4 again. So there's 2 for me, number 3 and number 4. And then we're going to wrap our yarn around our hook twice again. And now we're going to come back down here to that chain that we are pinching, and that's where we're going to insert. And I like to try to get under the V on those. So I like to try to make sure I'm under that V. Hopefully you guys can see right there. We're completely in that stitch. And now I'm going to grab my yarn and pull up a loop. I'm going to grab my yarn and pull through 2. I'm going to grab my yarn and pull through 2. And I'm going to grab my yarn and pull through 2. So just like that. So now we've got 2 foundation ovals. Remember, we're looking down that description, but our multiples on these are multiples of 2 plus 1 at the end till we reach our desired size. So we're just going to keep doing these same foundation ovals by chaining up 4, wrapping twice around our hook, going back down into that very first chain we made. And if you look, I didn't pinch that time, but the first chain is just going to fall right above where we connected this last foundation oval, kind of closed it off there. So if you forget to pinch, you just look for that right above your previous foundation oval. So you're just going to keep working those foundation ovals. Pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, until you have the number that you need. So you are going to go ahead and pause here. Meet back up with me when you are done making all the foundation ovals, and we'll get started on the stitch work. And we are back, and you're going to have a much longer chain of foundation ovals than what you see with me right here. I am going to give you a little bit of insight on how this piece is constructed real quick. To give you an idea, my black swatch that I just showed you a moment ago is, my panel in progress of the cardigan. So it measures 36 inches from right to left, from side to side. So that panel that I've created becomes my shoulder, my short sleeve, my shoulder, and it's going to go across my back. And it's 36 inches long. So when you get your foundation ovals created, you are going to say, oh my goodness, I have a really long strand of foundation ovals. That is correct. You want to have that number of foundation ovals that I'm telling you down in the description because of the way we're constructing this. It's going to be very, very simple construction for you. So you're already going to be making your sleeve, making your shoulder, and the portion that goes across your back. So keep that in mind. It is correct what you're ending up with. I know it might seem crazy. I will do some inserting of pictures as well into the video to help you see what I'm talking about, because I do not have a large enough tripod, I guess is the best thing to call it. I don't have a large enough one of those to lift my camera up high enough where you can see the entire piece in one frame. So I will lay it out on the ground and take some pictures and add those in. So enough jibber jabber. We are going to start working the pattern now, and you're going to be really, really happy with how easy this is. So what I like to do is I like to go ahead and slip stitch over here into that first foundation oval. So to slip stitch, I just insert my hook into that oval. So we're just right there in it, and we're going to grab our yarn and pull up a loop, and then you go ahead and pull on through the loop that's on your hook. So now we're in position. So to start and end your rows, they're going to be all done exactly the same. So we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4 for me. So simple chain 4. Now we're going to wrap our yarn around our hook twice, and we're going to do a triple crochet right here into this foundation oval to get started. So we're going to go in, grab our yarn and pull up a loop, grab our yarn and pull through 2, grab our yarn and pull through 2, grab our yarn and pull through 2. And now what we need to do is we need to make sure we're not twisting our oval. So right now I have my oval twisted. So you can see that it kind of makes it kind of bump up funny. You want to just make sure your ovals are staying nice and flat. This is what they look like when they're in the correct position. They won't be turned. If you're seeing something like this and seeing kind of the underside of your stitch work, your oval's turned. So now all we need to do is go ahead and chain 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And we come over here into our next foundation oval, and we're going to insert our hook right there into that oval. We're going to grab our yarn and pull up a loop, grab our yarn and pull through 2 to complete a single crochet. Now we chain up 3, 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to go back down, and you're going to see the 2 little bumps right here. We want to do a peacoat here. So we're going to lift up that first little bump, and then we're going to go in under the second little bump. And you see it's not exactly a stitch. It's kind of like a side of a stitch. So we're going to go under that, and we're going to grab our yarn and pull through those 2. And go ahead and pull through the loop that's on your hook. As you can see, I'm kind of grabbing a hold of that peacoat and kind of helping it on through, it's completely fine to do that. So now we're going to go back down on that same exact foundation oval. We're going to grab our yarn and pull up a loop and finish out one more single crochet right there into that same oval. This is what you're looking like right now. Now we're going to go ahead. We're going to go ahead and chain 7 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And we go over here to our next foundation oval, and we're going to repeat what we just did. So we're going to do a single crochet first. Now we're going to chain up 3 to do our peacoat. So we're going to chain 3. We're going to come back down here, and we're going to find those 2 little bumps. So there's our first one right there. And we're going to go for this one here on the outside. Hopefully you guys can see real clear where I'm inserting my hook. And we're just going to go ahead and do a slip stitch on through. Just like so. And now we need to do one more single crochet right there around that same foundation oval. So just go right in there and do one more single crochet. So that is your repeat for the entire row. You're going to be doing a chain 7, single crochet, peacoat, single crochet into the next foundation oval all the way down the rest of your row. So I'm going to work a little bit more with you. I'm going to do another one of those, and then we'll meet back up at the end of the row. So we're just going to chain 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then we come over here to this next foundation oval, and we do a single crochet. We chain up 3, 1, 2, and 3. And then we do our peacoat by picking up these 2 little bumps right there in the front. And we slip stitch on through. Back down in that same foundation oval. So I'm just working around that oval. And do one more single crochet. And then you're going to keep going with your chain 7. And so on. And we will meet back up when you get down to the end of your row. And we will handle this last one together. So I'm going to come back in just a moment with you guys. So you're meeting back up with me. We've got this last foundation oval to work. So what we are going to be doing in every row is going to end the same way. So your row begins the way I showed you over here. And your row will end, each row will end just as I'm about to show you. So what we are going to do at this point is we are going to go ahead and chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. And we come down here and we're going to work our first triple crochet around this foundation oval. So we're wrapping our yarn twice. We're coming back into that foundation oval and pulling up a loop. We're going to wrap or grab and pull through 2, grab and pull through 2, grab and pull through 2. Now we're going to wrap our yarn again twice around our hook. And this time I like to just anchor it into a spot here on the foundation oval so that the side doesn't start to pull in. Because when we're working around the foundation oval, the stitch can actually move. And that's great for the rest of it. But right here at this spot, we don't want that happening at our row ends. So where I'm going to go and show you guys to go is I like to go right here into that very first stitch that started that foundation oval. So I'm right there just above my slip knot, the little knot that's made. And I'm going to go in there and I'm going to grab and pull up my loop. I'm going to grab and pull through 2. I'm going to grab and pull through 2. And I'm going to grab and pull through 2. So this is what your work is looking like. And obviously in the smaller yarns, it does look to me a little bit daintier and better. If you're using one of the larger yarns, you're going to play with your hook size a little bit, or you can go with the recommended larger hook size that I have listed down below in the description. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to show you guys how to move on to row 2. And then from there, it's the same thing over and over and over until you reach the number of rows that you need for your size. And that's listed down there in the description as well. So we're going to go ahead and move on to row number 2 by chaining up 4. So let's chain 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we're going to turn our work, and we are going to go ahead and wrap twice around our hook, and we're going to come down to this triple crochet from the previous row, and that's where we're going to insert into the top of it and work another triple crochet. So you just go right there into the top of that stitch and pull up your loop. Now you grab and pull through 2, grab and pull through 2, grab and pull through 2. So you're going to have a triple crochet, 2 of them at the beginning and end of each row. So now we're going to chain 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And we are going to go down here into this chain space right there. So that's a chain 7 from that previous row. We're going to go right there into that chain 7, and we're going to insert our hook and pull up a loop and do a single crochet. And we are going to chain up 3 to do our picot. So 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to come right here and find those 2 little bumps. There's one right here in the front. There's one right over here on the edge. So we're going to get into both of those. And we're going to grab our yarn and pull on through doing a slip stitch. And we're going to go ahead and pull on through the loop that's on our hook. Now we're going to go back down that same foundation oval, and we're going to pull up a loop and do a single crochet. Now we're going to chain 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then we jump over to that next chain 7 right there in the center of that, and we go ahead and do our first single crochet. Now we chain up 3, 1, 2, and 3. And we come back down and find those 2 little bumps. So we're going to get underneath this first one right here. And then we're going to come over here and get underneath the other one. Now we grab our yarn and do a slip stitch. So we pull it on through. And then we pull it on through the loop that's on our hook. And now we're just going to go right there around that same chain space and do a single crochet. So the only thing that's changed is we're now just working in our chain 7s, doing the same thing that we were doing on the previous row. So you're just going to keep working in that same exact manner on down. I'm going to meet back up with you one more time to show you how you do your row end. And then from there, you'll be able to finish out this part of the panel when we will come back and work together on the front side of the panel, and I'll show you a little bit more of the construction. And here we are at the end of our row. I've got a chain 7 already on my hook, and we have this chain 7 right here at the end of the row before our triple crochet. So we're going to go ahead and insert around that chain 7 and do our single crochet just like normal. We're going to chain up 3 for our picot just like normal. We're going to insert underneath those bumps and finish out that picot with the slip stitch. And like I said, you can always feel free to grab on that little chain 3 to help yourself on through. Now we're going to go ahead and finish out the picot with a single crochet right there beside it. Now since we are at our row end, we are going to only chain 3. That's only at the end of the row that you do this, chain 3. And then you're going to wrap twice around your hook. We're going to go right here into this triple crochet. We're going to work right there into the top of that stitch. And we're going to do a triple crochet. So we're going to go ahead and pull up a loop. We're going to pull through 2. We're going to pull through 2. And we're going to pull through 2. And now we're going to wrap twice around our hook again. And this time right here is the row beginning. So this is actually a chain 4. So we're just going to make sure that we get into the top of that chain 4. So we're going to count 1, 2, 3, and 4. Right there's the 4th chain. So that's where we want to insert our hook right there on the top of that. And we're going to finish out another triple crochet. So we're going to grab our yarn, pull up our loop, grab and pull through 2, grab and pull through 2, grab and pull through 2. And that is all you do. So now you do your chain 4 to move on up. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Turn your work. Now we're going to do another triple crochet. So we wrap twice around our hook. We're going to come right there into that triple crochet that we created on the previous row. insert right there into the top of it. And we're going to finish out another triple crochet. So pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through 2. And now we begin with a chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then we hop over here and work in our chain 7. So we're working right around those chain 7 spaces that we created, working right around the chain, doing our peacoats. Single crochet, chain up 3, 1, 2, and 3. Go back down here and find that little bump. Find the other little bump. Hopefully that's really clear for you guys. And you finish out your peacoat by doing a slip stitch on through all those loops. And a single crochet finishes that out. Try not to split your yarn. And that's what you do all the way down your row. Row ends and begins exactly the same way each and every row. So it should be super easy for you guys to remember. So I will be back in just a moment to show you the next step, but you're going to need to continue on and complete the number of rows of these chain 7s. We've done row 2 and started row 3 together. So you're going to be continuing on finishing up your panel for the number of rows I suggest, or for the desired size you want. You can always make an alteration to something that works best for you. But we'll be meeting back up, and I'm going to show you how you mark on this long panel that you've created. It's a long rectangle. I'm going to show you how you mark your center stitches and everything so that we can actually add the front portion on. Since it's a cardigan, it's going to be open in the front. So we'll be back in just a moment to work on that, and I will meet you guys up when you are finished with your back panel. Essentially is what we're making. It's your arm, shoulder, and back of your project. So in this small yarn, it does stretch out quite a bit. So we'll be back shortly. You guys continue working on, and then we will finish up together. Once you have finished the number of rows you need to finish up that panel, you are going to be clipping your yarn and binding off. So I like to do a knotted bind off. So what I do to complete that is I've finished up this row, done my triple crochets, and I chain up 2, 1 and 2, and then I clip my yarn, and I'm going to go ahead and pull that on through, tail and all, and then I cinch it down. So I'm going to grab my scissors real quick to show you guys that. So I've clipped the yarn, and then I just have my hook right there still in that yarn, in the loop, and I go ahead and pull on up to have that go on through. So I have just these 2 chains. So now what I like to do is place my fingers right there above those chains. And I've got my hand on the tail over here. It's in my other hand. And to finish out, I pull on this tail at the same time that I'm sliding my fingers down. So hopefully you guys can see. And I just push down that knot, and it creates, or those chains, and it creates this perfect little knot for me. So that's how I like to bind off. So you're going to need to do that once you've finished up your rows. And this is how mine looked when I did my little bind off. Did the same thing I'm telling you guys to do. Now we're going to be joining on our yarn again, but we're going to be turning our project where our foundation ovals that we began in are back up here at the top. So you're going to want to identify those foundation ovals, and we're going to get started putting on the 2 front panels to start forming the cardigan. So we're going to need some stitch markers at this point. So you're going to go ahead and grab you a couple stitch markers. If you do not have stitch markers, you can definitely use a few pieces of scrap yarn, paper clip, bobby pin, any of those things will work. We just need to mark some ovals out so we know where we need to stop as we work our way in from, in my case, I'm going to start over here at the left side, or I'm sorry, the right side. So I'm going to work right to left to the center point that I've marked, and then I'll be working this panel back and forth until I've done the same number of rows on the front panel that we're adding as I've done here on the back panel. And then I'll need to go over to the other side, the left-hand side for me, and do the same thing, work a short front panel basically. It's going to go almost to the center point, but we're going to work 2 panels on here, starting in the foundation ovals again. And then we're going to start working on the rest of the cardigan, which is super easy. You're only going to be sewing up at the very bottom edge of the sleeve area, and that's it. The rest of it is going to be worked all in like a round, going back and forth row by row. So I'll show you guys all that. It's going to be super, super easy. So what we're going to be doing here is we are going to fold our panel in half. So I've taken my right side and brought it over here and matched it up with the left side. I know I can't get it all in the camera for you guys, but the main point of this is we have an odd number of foundation ovals. So when you line up and you take your very first foundation oval and on the one side and you match it to the foundation oval on the other side, and you straighten it all out and make sure they're all lining up, when you get here to the center, you are going to find that you have one lonely foundation oval that sets dead center. So it's right there in the middle all by itself, nothing else to match up with it. So everything else has two ovals. So once you have identified that center, for me, I have 25 foundation ovals. So you can also count your ovals. You're going to have your even number all the way up to here. Then you will have an odd. You'll have the same on the back. So I like to identify that center one. For me, it is the 13th oval. For you, it's going to be different. So just count. You want to make sure that you are finding that center. So you can either count and keep your even number. You'll find your even number, and then you will do the same thing on each side, and that will identify that center oval. But we're going to clip a stitch marker in there. So we have marked right here in the center. So we found our center, and we did that by counting up. In my case, I have a total of 25 ovals, foundation ovals, and I counted 12, and this is my 12th one. So I started on the edge of the left side and I counted in 12. So that's number 12. And then I did the same thing on the other side, counted up 12 to double check myself. And right here in the center, this is the 13th, either way that I'm counting. And so that is the dead center of my project. So we found our center. Now we're going to count back 1, 2 ovals. The second oval over here, that is where we're going to work to. So we're going to work into this oval. So we're going to mark this one on this side. So we want to just grab another stitch marker real quick, and we want to mark that stitch. So that's going to be our stopping point. When we get to this point, this will be our row end. Now we want to do the same thing over here. We're going to count. Here's our center. We're going to count 1, 2 ovals. And in this second oval over here, we are going to add another stitch marker to mark our row end on this side. And of course, I've had to grab a whole cluster of them. I mean, grab my stitch marker. So we're going to mark our second oval right here. Sorry, my arm's all in there. So we're going to mark in that one, and that's our stopping point. So now we're going to get started on how you join on, and you're going to work your way towards the center, and I'll show you how you work the beginning and what's going to be your new row end. It's the same thing we've been doing. It's just you're stopping here instead of working all the way to the end of the row. But I'll go over that with you in just a moment. So here I am at my right edge. So I'm on the right side of my project. There's our row ends right there. And I'm now going to work in these foundation ovals. You'll be able to find them really easily. I know black yarn is hard to see on camera. But we're going to insert, and I want you to go into that first little stitch that you can find. We have a chain of 4 on the side, and we just want to find the very first stitch just to anchor in. We want to go ahead and insert our hook and put a slip knot on our hook. Go ahead and tighten that down. And we are going to draw up our loop. And we are going to grab our yarn, working yarn, and our tail and do a chain 1 right here. And then I want you to go ahead and move over into that foundation oval. So work right over into it. Very first one, and grab our yarn. We're going to do a slip stitch. So we're going to grab our yarn and pull it up around that oval. And we're going to go ahead and pull it through those loops that are on our hook. From here, we're going to chain up 4 to start our row. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we're going to wrap twice to do our triple crochet. We're going to come back down in that same exact foundation oval. And we're just going to work right there around that oval doing a triple crochet. So I've pulled up a loop. I'm going to grab and pull through 2, grab and pull through 2, grab and pull through 2. And now, just like before, we do a chain 7 to start. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then we jump right over into that very next foundation oval, and we do our single crochet, picot, single crochet. So there's my single crochet. Now I chain up 3 to do the picot. So I go right here, find those little bumps just like we did before, and slide underneath them. Grab my yarn, do a slip stitch on through all those little loops. And now we go back down in that same exact foundation oval and do a single crochet to finish off. Now we chain 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And we jump over to our next foundation oval, and we do the same thing as we did before. We do our single crochet, chain up 3, 1, 2, and 3 to do our picot. Come back down, find those little bumps. They kind of stick out a little bit more than anything else down there, so they're pretty easy to find. Slip stitch on through. Now we go back down in that same foundation oval and grab and pull up our loop so that we can finish out a single crochet. And you continue on. You're going to work all the way up until you reach the foundation oval that is right before our marked oval. We do not work into the one that we put the stitch marker in. So we're just going to go ahead and work up until that point. I'm going to meet you guys back up at the row end because our rows are now shorter because we're just doing 2 front panels. So I'll meet you back up in just a moment, and we'll do that row end so you can see how that looks. And then from there, you'll be able to carry on doing the rest of the front panel on this side, and you'll move over and do the front panel on the other side, and we will meet back up from there to finish out how we do the rest of the body of the cardigan. So you're meeting back up with me, and you are now at your row end. So you have worked up to this stitch marker right here. So if you take a look, we've got 3 stitch markers placed. One marking our dead center of our project, and then this is the 1, 2 spots over. So I am up here. I've got to finish out my last little picot, and then we're going to do the end of the row together. So I've got to chain up 3 for me to do this picot real quick. And we're just going to go ahead and slip stitch on through. Now we're going to go back down that same foundation oval and do our single crochet. And now, since it is a row end, we are chaining 3. 1, 2, and 3. And we're here in this foundation oval. We can go ahead and remove our stitch marker. We do not need it anymore, so we're going to get that out of our way. And now you are going to do your 2 triple crochets into this very next foundation oval that we had marked. So we're going to do 1 triple crochet. And we're going to wrap twice again and do our 2nd triple crochet just right there around that oval. Now from here we can start our next row of our front panel, and all we will need to do is chain up 4 to start. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we are going to turn our work. So just like we did previously, we're going to turn our work, and we will then do our triple crochet right into the top of the triple crochet from the previous row. So we're just going to go right in there, do a triple crochet. Now we chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we jump over here into this first chain 7 space, and we do our single crochet, chain up 3 to picot, and then we're going to finish out that picot real quick, and we do our single crochet right there around that chain 7 to finish that. So you just continue working on down this row. Hopefully I wasn't all completely out of camera on all of that. Working in the same exact manner as you did on the back panel, and you are going to complete the same number of rows that you did on your back panel on this first front panel, and then you will move over here to the other side, and you will start at your other end in your first foundation oval. Same way we just started. You're going to work there, and you're going to work all the way up until this first stitch marker that you reach, because we're still leaving our center stitch marker in. We're going to leave that in so we just know where our center is. And we're going to work right here until this space where we have the stitch marker, doing the same thing that we just did over on that side. Complete the same exact number of rows over here, and then join back up with me to finish out the rest of the cardigan.